Hi, this is Dr. Gregory Sadler. I'm a professor of philosophy and the president and founder of an educational consulting company called Reason.io, where we put philosophy into practice. I've studied and taught philosophy for over 20 years, and I find that many people run into difficulties reading classic philosophical texts. Sometimes it's the way things are said or how the text is structured. But the concepts themselves are not always that complicated, and that's where I come in. To help students and lifelong learners, I've been producing longer lecture videos and posting them to YouTube. Many viewers say they find them useful. What you're currently watching is part of a new series of shorter videos, each of them focused on one core concept from an important philosophical text. I hope you find it useful as well. One of the key signs or indices of actually making progress towards and in virtue in Plutarch's treatise, which is specifically about that, is how we deal with our failings, how we deal with our mistakes, our faults, our errors. And as it turns out, there's a Greek term that can translate all of those. It's interestingly one that within other contexts will get translated as sin, and that is hamartia. These are where we go wrong. And unless we're completely virtuous, we are sooner or later going to fail. We are going to make mistakes. So how should we deal with that? There's good ways, signs that we're actually making progress. It would be better if we hadn't screwed up, but we're screwing up and then doing the right thing afterwards. And then there's bad ways that show us not just that we're not making progress, but perhaps we're actually becoming worse. And Plutarch is going to begin this discussion with an analogy to those who are suffering from diseases and need medical professionals to help them out. And this is a very common likeness that's taking place, not just in our own time, but also in ancient times. So he says, of people who are needing the services of a physician, those who have a painful tooth, their finger goes straight away to those who treat such ills, right? They know what's going on, and they go get it taken care of. Those who have fever summon the physicians to their houses and implore their assistance. So far so good, right? You know there's something wrong, you go to the professional to get it treated. However, there are some people who are unwilling to have the physician come in. He talks about those who have reached a certain state of melancholia, melancholian, which is black bile coming up from your liver, or frenzy, or delirium. Sometimes they don't want the physicians to visit, but they drive them away or they run away from them. Why do they do this? Because they don't think that they're actually sick. They don't realize it, or the violence of their illness is causing this. So what if we transpose this into moral matters? Now, we suffer from vices, bad tendencies, weaknesses, and we need to get those taken care of. So he says that people who make mistakes, the erring, right? Those who are among the hamartonton, right? Those who commit hamartia, some of them are like the melancholiac or the frenzied. He says that they are hostile and they take a savage attitude and hot temper to those who take them to task and admonish or criticize them. They don't like to be criticized. They don't like you to say, wow, man, you got a problem. Not even, an anger problem. Oh, I'm not angry. You're angry, right? They're doing that sort of thing. Well, it's possible to take another point of view. And so he talks about people who patiently and calmly will allow others to criticize them, to admonish them. Patiently, hupomenontes, right? This is a very interesting word because when in ancient philosophy the virtue of courage is being unpacked and explored, it's often framed in Greek, in later stuff, in terms of this putting up with things, patience, right? Enduring. and calmly. So prauteron, that is coming from the term that's used for not feeling anger or not responding in anger. So if we do this, this is actually good, and this is a sign of progress, that we're making progress. We listen to other people criticizing us, and we don't fly off the handle. Another really important thing is he says that a person who's in error should submit himself to those who take him to task to tell what is the matter with him, to actually expose it, to disclose their depravity or weakness, right? The moktheria in Greek, which is another word for vice sometimes. Kakia is vice, and moktheria is sometimes used as a synonym. Not to rejoice in hiding his fault or take satisfaction in it not being known, to say, whew, nobody found out that I'm a bad person, but instead to actually, now the term here is confess, but another better way would homologein, to agree that I've got an actual problem. There's something wrong with me, to admit it, right? If you do that, then it can be adequately dealt with. And so he says this is actually a sign of progress. And so he brings up Diogenes the cynic. Diogenes says that we need at least one good friend and at least one good enemy. Now, that's if we're the kind of person who can make use of them. What do our friends do? So our friend, he says, should be concerned to, help us out, by kindly attention. And an ardent enemy will actually say, hey man, you're a jackass, you're doing this thing and this thing and this thing. They'll let us know what's wrong with us. So we can actually use our enemies to our advantage. There's another possibility that Plutarch discusses, which is pretending not to be concerned. And he uses some funny examples here. So long as a man displaying a spot or stain on his shirt, his chiton, or a rip in his shoes, puts on airs in public by affecting a silly unconcern, right? So the term here is atouphia, not caring about it. Kene. Kene means silly or vain or empty, right? So there's a lot of people there, you can say, wow, you didn't do a good job in writing a paper. Who cares? It's not a big deal, right? That could be the catchphrase. It's not a big deal. So that is a sign that they're not taking their problems seriously, or they're taking them so seriously that they have to pretend that they're not serious. And he talks about maybe they'll pass off some jokes about themselves and imagine that they're showing a spirit of what's translated here as youthful bravado. And the word really means to act like a young person, to act like a youth. Somebody who doesn't really know, somebody who doesn't really care. And that's not good for you. If you have some serious issues, you need to be taking stock of them and working on them. So instead, what does Plutarch advise us? He says that, we don't want to evade criticism, because if we do, then these things become like ulcerous sores deep within us, hidden. So he says, if the man who grapples with these faults, especially if he shows himself being willing to be unhappy over the mistakes that they make. And the terms that are used there is actually algunein, to give themselves pain over this, and kakidzein, to be, of an unhappy mindset over their errors, and then to submit to another person. This is a way of getting to be better. A person like this shows not only that they're trying to get rid of their badness, but even more importantly, that they dislike it, that they actually view it as bad, that they think that it's something to be despised, right? So that's pretty important. And then he talks about, you don't want to deliberately ruin your reputation or anything like that. But what you really ought to be concerned with is what's actually going on with you. What are you upset about? Are you upset when people criticize you because you think it's ruining your reputation or lowering you in other people's eyes? You really should be concerned with what is wrong inside of you. And so he says that the man who is more disturbed over the actual existence of, it's translated here as baseness, but again, vice, weakness, moktheria is the term. Actually having a weakness like that and being upset about that is more important than worrying about any ill repute that's going to come from it, because that's in the realm of the reputation. That's an external thing. You know, you can have a good reputation and be a bad person, bad reputation and be a good person. What matters is whether you're a bad or good person. And so he says that, we can look at people who try to escape from this, and instead we should adopt, as an example, one of the great fathers of medicine, Hippocrates. Hippocrates was a great physician, but not only did he make mistakes, he wrote about them, he wrote them down, and then he published it. And in this case, it's mentioned that it has to do with cranial sutures, right? So why did Hippocrates do this? So other people wouldn't screw up. And he was willing to say, yeah, I'm not perfect, so that other people could benefit from him exposing it. If he was a vain person, if he was unwilling to be, better, then he probably wouldn't have said anything about that. Now, we're going to close this section by talking about two other examples. He brings up Beon, who is one of the legendary sages of Greece, and Pyro, the founder of the skeptic school. Very important thinker. Unfortunately, we don't have any of their works, but we're told that their positions show not just progress, but a state, a hexis, a lasting state that's actually closer to the ideal. How do they do this? Well, Beon is going to tell us one important thing, that he said to his intimate friends, they might well be justified in thinking they were making progress when they could listen to people who were criticizing them as though they heard them say, friends, since you have not the look of a man that is base or unthinking, health and great joy be yours, and God grant that you ever may prosper. So your enemies are saying mean stuff about you, but you can actually hear them as helping you out. The other remark is made by Pyro, and it happens while he is on a ship, and it's kind of stormy seas, and he actually sees a little pig, and the pig is eating some barley that had been spilled, and he says to his companions, a similar indifference must be acquired from reason and philosophy by the person who doesn't want to be disturbed by things that will befall him. So that's suggesting a much higher way of life. Is what Plutarch has been telling us conducive to that? Will revealing our own faults, our own failings, help us out? Yes, if we're not trying to pass them off as if they're not really faults or, lesser than they are. But if we actually feel bad about them and look for ways to extricate ourselves from those vices and failings.